Hello again everyone from Tokyo, Japan, and welcome back to Two Wheels in Tokyo. Today I'm just kind of enjoying a ride around the city. Kinds of rides I often enjoy here in Tokyo. Right now I'm going through Roppongi, and I'm going to be heading out today toward Akihabara, which is a pretty fair distance from where I'm at right now. I haven't been out to Akihabara in a long time. Used to get out there fairly often. I used to live in Kanda, which is right next to Akihabara. And I often went there because there was a Burger King and a few other things which I enjoyed visiting. But that was then, and this is now. I don't live so close anymore. Roppongi is kind of an upgrade over Kanda anyway, so I don't mind having moved. I'm curious to see what Akihabara is like today with all the tourists. Now today is Sunday, February the 22nd, and it's a warmer day than usual, 17 degrees Celsius. It's definitely not the winter-like conditions we've had for a while now. So during this ride, we're going to be passing through a lot of interesting parts of Tokyo. So if you'd like to see Tokyo from the perspective of a bicycle, stay tuned. Merging out onto Roppongi Dori, it means Roppongi Street. And we'll be passing through the area called Arc Hills. After Arc Hills, we'll pass through Shinbashi. Shinbashi, we're going to cut across and head through Ginza. And from Ginza, we'll pass through Kanda, and from Kanda, we should end up in Akihabara, or Akiba as it's called for short here. So much new stuff has been built since I've been here in Japan. And more stuff continues to be built. The skyline here in Tokyo keeps changing. Every year there are at least a couple, three new tall buildings. Looking from my window at home, looking at the skyline toward the south, I can see 22 new buildings which have been put up. Quite a few have been put up in this area here. Coming up on the Arc Hills area, this is where the American Embassy is located. Sometimes I have to go to the embassy to renew my passport or my daughter's passport or do other things. It's not often you hear horns in Tokyo. People are very reluctant to use their horns. I wish it were like that in New York. In New York, it seems that whenever you stop or accelerate, you have to use your horn at least once. Not the case here. Okay. American embassy is over in that direction where all the police are and the barriers. It's extremely secure, and I don't really know why. It's like we have embassies to all the countries around the world in this part of Tokyo. And of all the embassies, the American embassy is one of those which protesters don't seem to bother very much. Now, the Russian embassy and the Chinese embassy, there are a lot of, I don't know, activists here in Japan who don't like Russia or China, and I'm sure the feeling's mutual. And on weekends, during business hours, they often go over to try to protest. They drive around in these black vans with old Japanese battle flags on. They play old military songs, march songs over loudspeakers, and make a huge nuisance of themselves. I really hate that noise. And of course, these embassies, the Chinese embassy is located in Azabu area, which is close to where I live, and then so is the Russian embassy. They're both in Azabu. And Azabu is also a popular place with tourists. And a lot of tourists are, visiting the area, and they hear these loud songs being blared out over the speakers on these trucks, and these crazy guys speaking over PA systems, and have no idea what's going on. But basically what they're doing is they are protesting against China and Russia. It's a Saab 900 Turbo there. Cool car. Ride bicycles carefully around the police here. They do pull you over if they catch you doing something you shouldn't do. That's their job. Enjoy English more, only at Nova. Thankfully, I already speak English. I don't have to study at Nova. And this police bus up here and the one across the street, these are also here for the sake of the American embassy, which is over to my right now. Strategic way to avoid having to stop at the red light when there are police everywhere. This is quasi or quasi, however you pronounce it, legal. Where's Chris Steakhouse? I've never been there. I love steak, but that's the one steak restaurant I've never been to. I've been to Wolfgang Puck's. They have 2 restaurants in my area. They're very good. And into Hama Steakhouse, famous teppanyaki restaurant, also in my neighborhood. I'm not going to go to the right to that part of Shimbashi. I think I'm going to avoid Shimbashi altogether and just go through Kasumigaseki here. And that will take me either Kokyo or Palace. It's probably more scenic than Shimbashi anyway. As it's Sunday, it's quiet here. This is the government area of Tokyo and Japan. Mostly Japan. Tokyo's metro government buildings are over in Shinjuku. But here is the National Diet, and here also is the courts and the National Police Department and everything else. A lot of buildings here. You'd be surprised to know that a lot of this stuff in this area is underground. It's kind of like a city underneath the city here in Tokyo. If you go down underneath, you'll run across huge plazas underground, which are mainly shopping and restaurants and things like that, which cater to the business people in this neighborhood, the bureaucrats who work here. I believe up ahead is Sakuraraman, which is, that translates to cherry tree field gate. All the police around here. What is going on today? I'm not sure. Normally this street isn't blocked. I'm wondering if they're having this is the season of the Tokyo Marathon. I wouldn't be surprised if they were holding the marathon today. This is about the time that they would do it. There it is, the Kokyo. I shouldn't make the long vowel sound because they don't use it for this place. Formerly known as Edo-jo or Edo Castle. Before that it was known as Chiyoda-jo or Chiyoda Castle. And this district is still known as the Chiyoda District. Probably the second richest district in Tokyo, behind Minato. All right, let's go. Should avoid the runners here. The palace here is the most popular spot for runners. All the gates around the palace are arranged like this. There are two gates at angles to each other so they can be easily defended. And the buildings ahead are Maru no Uchi, which means within the circle. The circle being the moat system, which used to exist around Edo-jo. The moats went out as far as Ginza. Now they're highways. They've been filled in and paved and turned into highways. Just realized I'm no, I'm not. Thinking I was off in my reckoning here, but I'm off in my reckoning, thinking I'm off in my reckoning. I said something right and I thought it was wrong, and now I realized it was right. I was getting ready to correct myself for something that didn't need to be corrected. Tours. There's a lot of tourists here coming to the Kokyo today, going to Nijubashi, which means 20th bridge, the most famous bridge around here, except for maybe Nihonbashi, which we'll pass over. Nihonbashi is the bridge of Japan, and it's the center point in Japan, the very middle of everything. All the distances from Tokyo measured to around the country start at Nihonbashi. Interesting to listen to the conversations around me. When I first came here, Japanese was hard to understand as radio static, but I can understand it fairly well now. Wish I could speak it better, but I'm better than I used to be. Practice makes perfect. Okay, head back out onto the highway here. Building straight ahead is the Palace Hotel. It's a great place. They have a wonderful lounge there which overlooks the water, which used to be one of the various moats surrounding the castle here. Straight ahead, Iidabashi. It's kind of a suburb where lots of people live. Kudanshita, which is the other side of the palace, which is famous for its cherry blossoms. And we're going to be turning right, as the sign said, and head toward Nihonbashi. I want to see what the status is on the new Torch Tower, the new tallest building in Japan, which is currently under construction. This is the entrance to the public entrance to the palace. Is over on my left. You can get a ticket there, go inside and visit the palace and the remains of the old castle keep, which is still standing even though the keep burned down some nearly 500 years ago. Next month will be cherry blossom season. About a month from today, the cherry blossom should start blooming. And Kudanshita, which, if I were to keep going and turn left, zillions of people would be there visiting to look at the cherry blossoms, which overhang the moats. Up ahead on the left is the tax office. I have to go there at the end of the week to make some corrections to my income tax situation. Gotta be careful with your taxes here in Japan if you're not Japanese. And now we're entering Ote Machi. Ote means big hand, town means, or Machi means town, so big hand town. It's called a big hand town because this is where Oteman used to be. Oteman was the big hand gate. entering the castle in the old days. New Year's, they have this big marathon race which starts at Mount Fuji. It's a relay race from Mount Fuji to here, to Otemachi. And the teams are from various universities around Japan. And it's the most popular thing on TV in Japan for the New Year's holiday. And I remember coming to meet my wife here. She was returning from New Year's holiday at her mom's place. And trying to get here with all the crowds was pretty difficult. Buildings here, that fancy new building with the columns there. Used to be the location where the, what should I say, of the main post office in the old days. Like everything else, it's been knocked down and replaced with something else. This is the financial center of Japan, Otemachi. Here you'll find Japanese banks, Mitsubishi, Mitsui, Mizuho, and a few American ones. You'll find JP Morgan here, and also Deutsche, and other ones. This is where I used to work, in this neighborhood. And it's not a bad place to work. There's lots of interesting people around here, the movers and shakers in Japan. Captains of industry and people like that. And surprisingly, they're more normal than you might think. Tokyo Station, straight ahead. It's the train going by right now. Is the Hokuriku Shinkansen, which goes up to Nagano and Karuizawa. If you want to go skiing, that's the train you take. One of them, anyway. Last time we went, we went skiing, and it was last year. And my wife made this decision to take a weekend ski trip at the last possible moment. Which is something that I won't elaborate on that. It's best I discontinue that line of thought. And of course, all the seats were sold out on the Shinkansen except for Grand Stock class, which is the first class car in the very front of the train. And so she booked us 3 seats up there, which is quite nice. Big, like circular, cushy leather sofas, and its own service for drinks and snacks. Alright, it's going up. That's it right there. The Torch Tower. I hope it never lives up to its name. to the size of the steel in that building. They want all the buildings here to be able to resist earthquake the size of the big 1923 earthquake, which wiped out Tokyo back in the day. And yes, it wiped out Tokyo, literally. Whatever didn't fall down from the earthquake was burned down from the fires which came afterward, including Tokyo Station. It was utterly destroyed, but rebuilt. Building on the left, Tokiwabashi Tower. That replaced what used to be here before. The JX used to be there. That's Japan Petroleum. It used to be a national company, but back in the day, these national companies, which were owned by the government, were losing so much money and the services were so awful that they were fired and all the companies were privatized. And they've done much better since then. I used to have clients at the JX building, and I used to have to walk there at least once a week for meetings. A little windy here. It's from the buildings. It's called in Japanese biru kaze, which means building wind. Even on calm days, if you go around these buildings, it tends to amplify the wind and make it stronger. Suruga Ginko. I used to know the guy who was the chairman of Suruga Ginko. He lived at the Conrad Hotel in Shiodome. And he stayed there because he liked swimming, and they have a pool there. A surprisingly nice guy. This is it, Nihonbashi. That's what the kanji there says. This used to be the site of Japan's biggest fish market. Fish boats used to come up the river from the sea. As the area became developed, they moved the fish market to Tsukiji. Nihonbashi Bridge North. All this stuff has been getting redeveloped over time. Mitsui Sumitomo Ginko, Mitsui Sumitomo Bank, and big building there is the headquarters for the Mitsui Group, which is a big deal here in Japan. Besides the bank, they do a lot of other business here. They started as a retail business, Mitsukoshi, which is one of the two big retail stores. This neighborhood is where the Mitsukoshi department store is, and that was the place where Japan's second telephone was set up. And the headquarters on the left, on the top of it, is where you'll find the Mandarin Oriental Hotel, which has a really wonderful breakfast. And it's also where chairman of the Mitsui Group used to work, Mr. Utsuda, who's now retired. He was a really interesting guy. And his daughter's really nice. They actually live out in my neighborhood. We used to. Maybe Koredo, that's the new shopping area. It used to be a bunch of ugly houses and a hideous pachinko parlor on the left, but now it's this nice new building. So straight ahead is Kanda Station. When we cross the street, we'll be entering Kanda. And the street I'm going to cross now, if you turn right and follow the street up about 1.5 kilometers, that's where I used to live when I lived in Kanda. This area is famous for its restaurants. Not the high-end Michelin star restaurants, but for the ones which cater to businessmen, because this area is a huge district for business. It's the headquarters for the Mitsui Group and other companies around here. Lots of salarymen work here. And salarymen, they love to eat and drink, and so there's a huge infrastructure of good eating and drinking places here. Kamera no Kitamura. That's actually a good shop, but now the watch shop on the first floor. Vintage camera business used to be really huge in Tokyo, but since digital photography became a thing, and digital cameras are basically disposable, this business isn't as strong as it used to be. And now they've moved over to other things, wristwatches. Okay. Which are very popular in Japan. Chicken restaurant. Soba. Passing under the Yamanote Sen, Yamanote line, the one that makes the big circle around Tokyo. Jeez. Hurry up. Kanda Eki means Kanda Station. Kanda Station is not a really big station, but it's surprisingly complicated for its smaller size. It's not as tourist friendly as the bigger stations. You can see the bridge up ahead, which is the edge of Akihabara and the border between Akihabara and Ochanomizu. Ocha means tea and Mizu means water. The Kanda River runs through. There it is. Akihabara. It wasn't long ago that this was the coolest place in Tokyo, and home to the girls group AKB48. There goes the Chuosen going out to Takao. My wife and daughter are at my mother-in-law's house today, visiting for the 3-day weekend. So I'm at home alone with the dog, and that gives me time to go cycling. And we cross over the Kanda River. Gigo Akihabara, that's a place which has the gacha machines. Those are the, what do you call them in English? Those machines that you throw away money in to try, UFO catchers, that's right. Something like that. Or maybe that's a Japanese name as well. Now, this place was famous as being Japan's electric town. And electronics, of course, is very huge in Japan from the 60s onward. And this was the place where you came if you needed components or tools or things like that. And then it grew into a place specialized in resale of electronic equipment, music equipment and things like that. And then computer equipment. And it's kind of like that a little bit still today, though. Computers and such today are more disposable than they used to be. And it's also the headquarters of anime. Yep, there's a lot of tourists here. Also had the maid cafes here. I visited a couple of times with friends just for the experience. For the overpriced, not so good food and coffee. Uh-oh. One of these guys is gonna pass me. Wow, this place is crowded. It was always busy, but it was never crowded like this. That guy in the loud truck up ahead, he's one of those demonstrators I mentioned earlier in my video. And they're affiliated with the Yakuza. Hope the light changes so I don't have to listen to him. There was a story a while back about this guy. He was looking for work and he saw a advertisement in one of the local papers for a driving job, which had pretty flexible hours and reasonably good pay. And he went to interview for the job, and it turned out to be driving one of these trucks, but he didn't know it at the time. So he accepted the job and they hired him. And imagine his shock when he was showed up to work and was put in one of these trucks to drive the Yakuza around and play that blaring music and listen to the ranting hate speech in front of the busy stations and all of that. Maruru figure shop. Okay, and the camera shop, quite busy. I'm surprised. That's run by people from Pakistan and they charge way too much. And a lot of what they sell there is junk. They do have some nice stuff there, but they charge a third more for it than anywhere else because of all the tourists around here. There's a cool hobby shop there, Tom Hobby Shop. They have a big floor for airsoft where you can buy airsoft guns and pellets and camouflage and goggles and all that kind of stuff. And then above that they have plastic models and such. And they have a RC shop, which is pretty cool. Chinese people. You can always tell because you can always hear Chinese people talk. You can very rarely hear Japanese people talk even when they're standing next to you, but Chinese people think that everyone in the neighborhood has to listen in on their conversation and they speak 3 times louder than anyone else. Hirocho Station. Ikinari Steak. I recommend that place if you want a salaryman style steak. They're all over Tokyo and other parts of Japan. They're small and they're cramped and they have a small space to eat, but the food is good and it's very reasonable. And if you like steak, and if you're a sane person, you like steak, it's a good place. All right, up ahead is Ueno. Let's take a look at Ueno. I haven't been to Ueno in a long time. Go there to the zoo with my daughter from time to time. Okay, I'm going to stop at the red light. I won't be like that guy and run it. That's tempting fate in this neighborhood. Matsuzakaya, that's another big Tokyo department store. They were founded in Ginza. I'm kind of glad I didn't go through Ginza today. If Akihabara is as busy as it is today, Ginza has got to be a madhouse. Okay. Toban, the police box. Like police everywhere in Tokyo, Japan. That's why it's safe here. A lot of tourists even here. When I first came to Japan, I went to one of the stores here and I bought myself a new watch. I bought a Omega Seamaster, and it was on sale for a pretty good price, and I wanted a nicer watch than what I had. It's good to have one for work. And I bought it, and it was kind of a wise choice because it's worth more now today than it was when I bought it. It's pretty wild. Let's go around the park if I can. KFC, wow, that sounds good. I haven't had KFC in a long time. It's toxic. It's lethal, but it's good. Up ahead there's a hill. The road kind of goes up toward Yasukuni, then eventually goes around toward Shinjuku. There's kind of a belt of hills which go around Tokyo. One end of it comes down here by Todai, or Tokyo University. It runs all the way around the city to the area where I live, and denotes what they called high city. Not high city like everyone is high, but high because it's above, on higher ground than the rest of the city. I don't see a sign which says no bicycles, so go ahead and have a look. Ikenohata Ichome, that's the road which goes toward Ochanomizu. I sometimes park on those rare occasions I come down here in a car. If for some reason I've got to come down here and it's raining. And during the Meiji Restoration, when there was a fight between the Satsuma and the imperial forces, there was an attack in this area. There was artillery set up on the hills here by the Satsuma clan, which were attacked by the imperial forces. Alrighty. Not so good looking in the February when everything is brown. I don't think we're going to see any alligator turtles here today. And yes, the alligator turtles, big North American snapping turtles, they exist here. I saw one myself. I was visiting one day. I came to this park a long time ago and I saw the signs, which I think I see one there. Warning not to get close to the water or let your pets get too close to it, or they could be attacked by a alligator turtle. And I thought it was nonsense. And years later, I was visiting the park here with a friend, and I was talking to him about these signs and how there was supposed to be alligator turtles in the pond. And I looked down at the water, and I saw one. And I know what they are because I lived for a while in the South in America, and I've seen them. And I was surprised. They're very good to eat, or so they say. It's like I thought they are. I have to say that I actually have tried. I have had turtle soup made with snapping turtle, and it is good. I couldn't tell much of the flavor of the turtle itself. Most of the flavor was in the broth, but it wasn't bad. And maybe they could encourage people to hunt these turtles in the pond for food. That would get rid of the turtles and feed a few people at the same time. This is the back door to the Ueno Zoo. Most people come through the front, through the park, which is more scenic, but super more crowded. If you're going to come to the Ueno Zoo, this is the way to do it. Come through the Ikenohata Gate. If you go to the main gate by the park or by Ueno Station, the line could be really long to get in. Tried to find my way back out to the main street and head toward Asakusa. Parking. If you're silly enough to drive to the zoo, this is where you can park. Custom interior. I have to do some hill climbing to get out of this low spot here. Fairly quiet area to live. Okay, I'll go this way. If I remember right, this road will go around by where the museum is and bring me back out to the main road. And I'll pass under the bridge which connects the two halves to the zoo. If I'm right, that's awesome. If I'm not, well, be able to see that much more of Tokyo. It's the walkway, so this is the right way. Awesome. Some of them old taxis. Toyota Cedric, renamed Crown. Rear wheel drive. I took my driving test when I got my license in an old taxi like that. restaurant. And then they have a flower arranging show here. Ikebana, they call it. It's a course that tourists like to try when they visit Tokyo or Japan. It's available. It's kind of fun. It's a good taste of Japanese culture. Not something that most people try, but if you're looking for an interesting experience, recommend it. Keisei Ueno Eki. All right, back up to Yodobashi. Now, I want to go around to the left toward, oh, got a snowboard there. Go under the station and get out toward Asakusa. Ueno is one of the really, really old stations here. In addition to being a train station, it's also a major stop for the subway. And the one thing that was difficult about it when we moved here was how low the ceilings and beams are inside. It was built back in the days when your average Japanese was a little bit more than 5 feet tall. And people grew taller. And it became easy to bump your head as you were trying to navigate through the station. A few years ago. He says that the parking lot is full and you can't go in. People coming here, I guess, hoping to park their cars and go to the zoo and to Ueno Park. I guess they're SOL. So one cool thing about riding a bicycle in Tokyo is that you're immune to one-way streets. You can go either way. Okay. This street here, which goes straight on, eventually crosses the Arakawa River, a place where I like to go cycling. But I never take this street because it has stupid traffic on it. It may not be that dangerous, but it's kind of hair-raising. Okay, let's go before the rush. This part of Tokyo is known as the low city. That makes it opposite to the high city. And this was the working class part of Tokyo for generations. It used to be where everyone lived. There were many homes all around here. They got burned down every few years due to the fires which used to roll across the city frequently. Whoa, squeaky brakes, I hate that. The things you see everywhere in every part of Japan as you go around, first thing you'll see is hair salons. If you're going to be self-employed in Japan, being a hairstylist is a popular choice. The next thing you see a lot of is dentists. Four corners here, 3 of them have dentists. And another thing you see a lot of is drugstores. Not that Japanese people buy lots of drugs. Japan is probably the least drugged of any society in the world. But you buy everything else at drugstores. They have food, they have snacks, they have makeup, pet food, stuff like that. That's what makes them popular. There's still an old bike path on the sidewalk there, which those are few and far between now. It used to be that they had these in all the big streets because in those days bicycles were still kind of separate from other vehicles. But back in 2008 they passed a law saying that bicycles aren't supposed to ride on the sidewalks, they're supposed to ride on the streets with cars. And that's true for most of the city, but not everywhere, obviously. Nice music there, nice sound while they're so blind people can hear when they can cross the street. Usually it's just a beeping sound. On the right is a district where they sell portable shrines and things like that. So Japanese families usually have a small shrine inside their home where they put photos and stuff of family members who have passed away. And they make offerings at these little shrines. They'll put in a bowl of rice or a drink, and then they'll light incense and ring a bell and say a prayer from time to time. And this is the district where they sell kitchen equipment. Pots, pans, dishes, things like that. Stuff for tourists. A lot of tourist shops have popped up in this area recently. This is the kind of road, if you go down this road past Asakusa, it crosses the river and will take you to the Tokyo Sky Tree, which is the tallest structure in Japan. It's like one of the few things which I can't actually see from my window at home because it faces the wrong way. Because I can see Tokyo Tower and a lot of other buildings, but I can't see the Tokyo Sky Tree. I remember when they were building it, and I was walking the dog in the morning, I'd always cross the bridge by the Sumida River, and looking straight up the river you can see the sky tree being built. And it was finished, I believe, in the early part of 2012. They finished building it. And my wife and I visited it in the evening when the line was short and enjoyed the wonderful views from the top. Interesting. These guys don't look very enthusiastic. All right. Okay. In the Asakusa neighborhood. I like this area a lot. When I first moved to Tokyo and I was looking at the cost of housing and apartments and stuff around here, and it wasn't that bad. It was fairly reasonable. And there are lots of things to see and do here, lots of places to eat. There's a good feel to it, this area. But it's kind of crazy touristy now. It used to be Japanese tourists and a few tourists from China and other parts of Asia. But now, lots of Western tourists. Riding my mountain bike today. There's these nice big cushy tires on it. All right, up there's the Tokyo Sky Tree in all its hideous glory. And up ahead is where the little shrine is. Behind there is the park. Riverfront Park, which used to be or have one of the biggest homeless encampments in Tokyo. Not the biggest, just one of the biggest, but there are almost no homeless anymore. Japan has done a pretty good job of handling the homeless. First, there weren't that many to begin with because there are no drugs or drug addiction in Japan, and most people in the world are usually, homeless people are usually drug addicts. So if there are no drugs, you're not going to have any addicts, and you're not going to have any homeless drug addicts. All right, there it is, the Thunder Gate. And I'm not going to try to push my way through. It's actually as busy as the Scramble Kosaten in Shibuya. Jin Rickshaw. Jin means person, Sha means car, Rick means Rick. Oh, Burger King is still there. I love it. Okay, I'm gonna find my way out of Asakusa now. All right, what? Tour guide. Tochigi Kotsu Bus. Tochiko. Tochigi is northwest of Tokyo. That gold building, that's supposed to represent a can of beer. And the gold cloud next to it's supposed to represent foam being blown off the top of a glass of beer. Traffic is forcing me to go away I didn't plan to go. We're headed up in the direction of the sky tree. Remember, that's the Asahi Beer headquarters. And when I first visited Tokyo as a tourist, that's one of the places that I came to see. Crossing the Sumidagawa or Sumida River. I remember crossing this bridge for hanabi, which that means fire flower. That's the Japanese word for fireworks. And it was the most crowded experience of my life. And if someone who lives in Tokyo describes something as crowded, that means it was crowded. The Asahi Annex. We came here, the traffic was shut down for the cars and the streets were completely covered with people. There was almost no room to walk. We managed to get across the bridge here and we set up a cloth on the ground on that little street up ahead, which had absolutely no view at all of the fireworks. So we ended up moving from there to a different spot where we could actually see fireworks. And the stretch of river right over on the right, that's where the barges are from which they launch the fireworks. And it was so funny. It was such a fun crowd. Like this street here, imagine like almost every square foot of this street is covered with the tarps and mats which Japanese people like to bring to parks and things like that. This was the street we were on. Let's go down this way. Get a good view of the sky tree. So this is the street we were on watching the fireworks, which were going off behind us. We had a really good view, and this street was completely covered with blankets and mats, and people brought little tables and things and were set up to eat and drink. And there were beer vendors walking around with the beer kegs on their back. I think I have to start heading back because it's getting a little bit too far away. Yeah, the fireworks were kind of straight ahead from here. And if you couldn't get a really good view of the fireworks, a lot of people brought portable televisions so they could watch the fireworks on TV. It's kind of crazy when you come here where the fireworks actually are, but you can't even see them. So The only way to watch the fireworks show is to see it on TV, complete with all the advertisements. And we're going to head down through Sumida-ku. So ku is kind of the word for city. Sumida City, Chiyoda City, Chuo City, Minato City. And each ku is divided into districts. That's how you get run over. When you try to repair your car in the middle of the street. And again, it's kind of hard to, actually you can park anywhere alongside the road. Now, when we left the fireworks show, it was impossible to get across the street back to the subway station to get subway back home because the line was 3.5 hours long. And rather than wait in line for 3.5 hours, we just started walking in this direction because this is kind of in the direction where we lived. There was another station up ahead where the wait was equally long. Kome, rice. And so we eventually got lucky enough to find a taxi which brought us the rest of the way. Now, I was wearing geita, which are the Japanese sandals, which I'd never worn before, and which I haven't worn since. I got some really awful blisters that night. Wearing geita. Tourists like to wear them when they visit Japan. Nothing wrong with that, just don't try to walk very far while you're wearing them. They are remodeling this bridge. Now, this is one thing I like about Japan when it comes to the infrastructure and maintenance. They do it quickly and efficiently and reasonably. In America, painting a bridge is something which takes 2 or 3 years. It costs more money than it costs to send men to the moon. Further up along this way is Gyogoku. Which is the sumo capital of Tokyo. This bridge up here is one of those bridges someone would put a camera up near in America to catch trucks crashing into it. 3 meters at the center. But no one hits it here. I don't see any marks or damage. This part of Tokyo is known as, when we leave Sumida-ku, you enter Koto-ku, which is on the north side of the river. Right, and if I remember, up ahead is Ryogoku. And to the left would be the Edo Tokyo Museum. Yes, this is it. Take a look here. This is where they have the sumo tournament. During much of the year, it's on every day, but it moves from place to place, east, west, different parts. And when they're having the wrestling, they'll have all the flags set up from the sponsors and stuff. Japanese steak, Jojoen. There's a famous sumo wrestler, Asa Shoryu, whose restaurant used to be in that location back when he was popular. He was a funny guy, very controversial. It's very easy to be controversial in Japan, where if you bend the rules even a little bit, you offend people. Especially if it's something cultural like sumo. Ryogoku Station. Let's go cruise down this way by the station. Don't often get this way. Pepper lunch. That's also good. That's another place which sells steak. That's what I'm going to eat today. It's been on my mind a lot. Udon places, those are so good. It's not so much the udon. Udon is very simple. It's just noodles and a dashi, which is a broth. But these places always have tempura to go with it, and the tempura is very, very good. Soba. Let's take a look down this street. And that following that would take me to what's the name of that station? I forget.
That's fair. Yeah, I did start eating it. Yeah.
It'll come to me one of these days. Kincho something. Pachisuro. It's a mix of two words, pachinko and slot machines. Pachi slot, they call it there. Gambling is a social issue in Japan. They don't have drug addiction here, they do have gambling addiction. Casinos aren't legal in Japan, but they do have these pachinko places which are kind of like casinos. They just use metal balls inside, as most people know. It's kind of like a funny pinball machine where, you know, if the ball goes in the right place, you win a lot more balls. And you can take these balls and you exchange them for a gift. And then you can take the gift and you can exchange the gift for money, and that makes it legal. It's really weird. can bet on lots of other things here. You can bet on horse racing, bicycle racing, boat racing, motorcycle racing. People love to bet on racing. Chinese dining, Juhachiban, number 18. I'm more interested in steak today, not Chinese. That's the second horn I've heard today. If I were in New York, I'd have heard a horn 2 or 3 times in the last 2 or 3 seconds. School on the left. You can see the shoe boxes full of shoes. There are kids there today. School in much of Japan is 6 days. Not everywhere, but some places. And all kids have club activities after school, which means they stay usually an extra 2 hours or so. These are sports or art or music or something like that. That's why Japanese kids tend to do pretty well, because they go to school a lot. And of course they have juku, which is tutoring classes to help them improve in things like math or language or whatever. Keisatsu. See if I can make this turn illegally and not get seen. Yay. Canal here, which runs into the river on the right side. Plum blossoms. It's February. This is the plum blossom season. It's ume in Japan. Should have turned right. Whole fruit. Soba. Anyway, as long as I keep going in this general direction, keep the river on my right, cross the river soon and start heading back toward home. Chiropractor. I would love to be able to find a good chiropractor, but the good chiropractors are like good anything else. Hard to find. I had a good chiropractor, a miracle worker, but he was so good, he left Tokyo and moved to New York City. Yon store. Okay. Shin Ohashi, which is across the way from where they have the big festival every summer. Shin Ohashi means new bridge. That's what that sign there says, Shin Ohashi. And this replaced the old Ohashi. which either fell down in an earthquake or was blown up during the war. I don't remember. They have the big neighborhood festival for this entire region over on the right side. Now we've left Kotoku behind us and we're entering Chuoku, or the center city. Straight ahead, up in the distance, is Azabudai Tower by where I live. All right. There used to be a few homeless who lived under this bridge, but as I mentioned earlier, Tokyo got its homeless situation under control. Right below me by the river would be a dog park where I used to bring my dog when we lived closer to this area. Oh, picnicking. Nice. Now they have a community center here which has a pool and gym and other things for people in the community. And when we lived in Chuoku, we often took advantage of these facilities. It was very nice. I haven't been on a bicycle this particular way, so hopefully I can find my way out of here. We'll see. Free hub on this bicycle isn't very loud, but it's, I guess, noticeable. People are moving out of the way. Oh, there's a ramp. Okay, I can leave on that. And I think we can, from here, find our way through Ningyocho, which is the doll town. A pretty interesting place I would recommend visiting. They have some nice shops there. It's also famous for tea. There's a place there which roasts tea. Makes the whole neighborhood smell very good. Go by this way by the park. I should have come down under the tunnel there, but the scenery isn't very good inside tunnels. Now, if you're in Tokyo in August and you want to try something interesting, I would recommend coming to the festival here at this park. It's known as Hamacho. Hama means beach and Cho means town, so beach town. Though there's no beach here, it's just next to the river. But the big field over on the left, they have the dancing stage set up in the middle. And all around here on the street, all in this area, they have food places set up. Now, one thing that they've done recently with these festivals, which annoys the hell out of me, is that they have a system for collecting payments. It used to be, if you wanted a food or a drink, you would just buy it. You would hand over the money, 200 yen, 500 yen, whatever it was. But now they make you buy tickets. And you have to buy tickets in certain amounts. Most people will spend like 2,000 yen or whatever to get the tickets. And then you use these tickets to buy stuff. The problem is if you don't use all the tickets, you have to cash them in at a certain booth, and the line at this booth is like a mile long, and most people don't want to wait forever to try to cash in their tickets. It's a big scam as far as I'm concerned. But they kind of do that so they can keep track of the money and taxation and all of that. So if you're a vendor, you turn in your ticket and then they get back the cash, and there's a record for the tax and everything. But one of the reasons they are doing that is to try to get organized crime out of the festival business. For generations, the festivals in Japan are kind of been a racket run by the Yakuza. They control all the vendors and everything else, and they recruit a lot of their people from the kind of outcast people who travel the festival circuit, kind of like carnies or whatever, just the dropouts or the unfortunate people in society who have to take up a wandering life to make ends meet. And back in the day when I first came to Japan and I used to visit these festivals, I used to see these people. Usually younger people, runaways, things like that. Dropouts. Okay, we're entering Ringyocho. The English flag there. Either that means they sell English stuff or it's a English school. Oishi. Oishi means delicious. So supposedly there's something delicious there. Getting a lot of life out of the battery today for some reason. It's going to be a super long video, obviously. The street we're crossing the sign says it's Daimon-dori. That means Big Gate Street. Straight up ahead is Nihonbashi. Maruko. Oh, I can smell the tea here. It's very, very, very good. And they make it over here. It's the tea roasting machine. It smells so good here. I can't even describe how wonderful it smells. I'm not going to go back to Nihonbashi. We've already been there. It's one way the other way, but luckily, as I said, you can go the wrong way. Ringyocho, the clock there, shows the dolls. This place was the town where they used to build the dolls. That's where it gets its name. Turns into a two-way street past the intersection here. Past the big shrine. That shrine there, it's fairly new. It's the Suitengu Shrine. And if you're going to have a child, this is where you go to get all the necessary blessings to have a safe pregnancy and a safe delivery. Now, when my wife was pregnant, the shrine was being remodeled, and so we had to go to a temporary shrine, which was out at Hamacho, where the festival is. And have to get there early in the morning and wait in a long line. And what you do is you pay a fee to the shrine, and they say a prayer and they give you some good luck charms, which will hopefully ensure you have a safe pregnancy and delivery. Another thing they have is a famous statue made of bronze, and it's a statue of a mother dog and its puppies laying around it. And for good luck, you are supposed to pet this statue. You're supposed to pet the mother dog and the various puppies. And they're all worn shiny because hundreds of thousands of people have petted this statue. Now, when the shrine was being remodeled, they moved the statue up ahead to the hotel up here, which is ahead on the left. And so after going to way out to Hamacho to get the blessing and the good luck charms, we had to come back to the Royal Park Hotel here, which had a different name back then. And the statue was set up inside the lobby. And so inside the Royal Park Hotel, you pet the statue. Kids labo. I have no idea what the word labo means. Another udon place. Another good one. There are lots of shops and stores and events called something or other labo in Japan. We're going under the TCAT, Tokyo City Air Terminal. And back in the glory days of Japan's economy, this was the terminal where people who were traveling for business came to catch the highway buses to take you out to Narita Airport. It still runs today. I've been there quite a few times. There's a McDonald's inside, which is not as crowded as some of the other McDonald's, and also there's a furniture store where my wife and I bought some furniture for our place back in the day. I think it's called Actus is the name of the store. As you can see, cycling is popular. Everyone has a bike in Tokyo. They don't necessarily ride them every day, but everyone owns one. That's a nice car parked on the crosswalk. Tokyo is full of nice cars. I would like a nice car if I drove more. I hate driving. Maybe if the car were nicer, I would enjoy it more. Oh no, this road's blocked. I gotta go around the other way. Oh, that's crazy. I don't want to go the other way. I don't know why that's blocked. I don't want to go up on the overhead part. That's out of my way. All right, I can go by the old IBM building. Where there's a road, there's a way. IBM company has an interesting story here in Japan. Now, they used to operate like an ordinary seniority-based Japanese company, and when things began to get more competitive in the industry, IBM sent a new This is on the left. Sent a new CEO from Germany to run the place, and the first thing he did is he kind of scrapped the seniority-based system and switched it to a performance-based setup, and required that people actually perform. And in IBM, like every other Japanese company, there's a minority of people who just show up to work every day and don't do anything at all and get paid and promoted like anyone else. And this new CEO saw this and said, what the hell is this? You're going to go out of business if you can't actually work. So he set performance marks that people had to hit, and most people hit them. It wasn't a big deal, but this group of people didn't. And so they were fired. And after they were fired, they sued in the labor court here in Japan, and they won, and IBM was forced to hire them back and pay them back their back wages. But in the end, that ended up costing everyone their job because IBM figured out that they couldn't make money in that kind of system, so they downscaled their operation here to almost nothing. And that's the way it is today. All right. Okay. One of the more popular Mama-chari bikes made in Japan. It's made by Bridgestone. There's a gas station up there, Ineos. That's the first place I ever bought gasoline in Japan. And straight ahead is where we used to live. That vertical gray concrete building. It was a nice place. When we lived here, it was reasonable. It was originally expat housing back in the day. And the units are fairly big, but what's really cool about them is they have more than one toilet, which is not a common thing in Japan. You go to America, it's like, 3-bedroom, 3-bath house, 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath, blah, blah, blah. In Japan, the rule is one toilet per house, which at least once a month is kind of annoying. But this place had 2 bathrooms, and some of the units had 3 bathrooms. They have facilities for live-in housekeepers and things like that. So the housekeeper can have her own room with its own toilet. That still is someplace today, but Japan doesn't have the kind of expat community that it once had back in the 80s and early 90s, when Japan's economy was the economy, second only to America. And American companies were maintaining housing for their American workers in Japan, and in the 80s paying up to $30,000 a month for rent. In the 80s, $30,000 was a lot of money. It's a lot of money today, but nothing compared to what it was back then. All these are new. except for this one. Now, which way do I want to go? I'll go this way. Across the old iron bridge here. This is like the bridge that we lived near when I was born, which was in New Mexico on Route 66 west of Albuquerque. If you are, I'm sure no one's ever driven that way, but if you're driving west out of Albuquerque, you'll see an old iron bridge like that in the middle of the road, which Route 66 used to cross. So my dad in those days owned a gas station and service center, which is located on Route 66. It's quite a big change in the lifestyle to live as a kid on Route 66 in the middle of nowhere and then live in the middle of Tokyo, Japan. Just goes to show that everything is possible, or anything is possible. The elementary school here, where my daughter would have gone if we had still been living in this neighborhood. It's nice and new. It's about 10 years old now. It's funny, things that you remember as being new become old. Let's go this way. We can head out towards Tsukiji and then come back through Ginza. That's a more scenic way to go. These buildings in front of me are also all new. Back in the day, this was a really awful neighborhood of dilapidated two-story houses which were falling apart, and parking for people who lived in the area. It was all run down, and it was one of the few places where there were like still stray animals running around in Tokyo. And it's gone. It's nice that it's brand new and beautiful, but it's kind of sad to see the old stuff disappear. Some of the last relics of the old part of the low city of Tokyo gone. Now, if I go along this, cross the bridge, and follow along the highway, it would take me out to Toyosu. That's that tall building up in the distance is in Toyosu. Toyosu is a great place for shopping and eating. And I guess there's not a marathon today, because if there were, this would be closed down, because the marathon goes along this elevated highway and it's blocked off. I've watched it go by from this point before. Any day now. Wait a minute, this ain't New York. You can't cross on a red light. All right. Now we're entering what used to be the location of Japan's foreign community back when it was first opened to the West, or at least Tokyo's first part. Nagasaki was the first place open, and then Yokohama was after that. And after Yokohama, it was here. This is the Tsukiji area of Tokyo. Go, 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 go. He's parked here. I hate that. To the right is St. Luke's Hospital. the new one. Now, one of the reasons there were a lot of old buildings in this area is because during the war it wasn't bombed, and it wasn't bombed because of St. Luke's Hospital. America's very interesting that way. During the war they bombed the hell out of a lot of places, but there were some places they avoided bombing, and this area is one of those. So it was kind of one of the safe places to evacuate to when there was a bombing raid going on. They have these trees in the park, and these trees have plaques on them, and they have the names of all the kids born in Chuo City during that year, and my daughter's name is on one of those plaques. She wasn't actually born in Chuo City, but that's where we lived, so her birth was registered there. In Japan, these details are oddly important. She was actually born in Minato-ku, just 5 minutes walk from where we live now. Though at that time we didn't know that one day we would live in Roppongi and Minato-ku. You don't often see trash here. What usually happens is this was on the top of a trash truck and it fell off. Usually people clean that stuff up more quickly. Not always. Up ahead, past the traffic light, is Tsukiji. You can see one of the really old buildings on the left here. Oh, a whole block of them. It's very rare. Alright, I had to take a break to change my battery. This is Harumi Dori. This is the main street which goes through Ginza. A little sushi place there which is really busy. We're going to be going through Tsukiji again. From the other direction this time. Sushi-o. Anyway. Last night I had sashimi for dinner. The grocery store across the way had some pretty good stuff, and it was on sale, 20% off. So I bought it. And it was good. And here's the old Tsukiji shrine on the left. Alright, see how crowded it is today. They've been tearing all this down and moving it because they've been working on a underground highway extension. There are a lot of highways underground in Tokyo. Alright, I'm thirsty. I'm gonna get something to drink. So, all right. Wow, 160 yen here. What a ripoff. It's cheaper everywhere else. All right. I'll be back. Alrighty, feel much better. Too crowded here. The dog is not enjoying it. Alrighty, guys. This is actually a city street where you can drive cars, but what? This is crazy. This place used to be very easy to navigate. There used to be people who came here, but there were never crowds here. Used to come here from time to time, but in those days you might have to wait in line for 5 minutes to get into a restaurant. Now it's more like 90 minutes. I wonder where they bring the fish from now that there's no fish market here anymore. Alrighty. Okay. Let's escape tourist hell and continue onward. Go through Shiodome today. So, in the past, as I said earlier, this was the area of Tokyo's foreign community. They were kind of restricted to this area, and this is where they lived and where they did business, and they enjoyed special rights within this area. It was kind of a self-governing district, and it took care of itself, taxed itself, and everything was run locally. And it was quite interesting. It was, for a long time in those days, the place where foreign culture and foreign things came into Japan. Things which most Japanese people had never seen before. One of the more interesting things which came to Japan in those days was rabbits. Prior to the coming of Westerners, there were no rabbits in Japan. And a couple of enterprising men brought rabbits here and began breeding them and selling them to curious Japanese. And rabbits became incredibly popular in that era, and around Tokyo and other parts of Japan, rabbit clubs were formed where you could show your rabbits, and they were judged according to their size and color and this and that, and became very competitive. And to reach the point where local vendors of rabbits began painting the rabbits and dyeing them in bizarre colors to increase their value, which caused a lot of fights and arguments and cases brought up to the government. And so rather than deal with all this stuff, they banned the ownership of rabbits in Japan and required everyone turn in their rabbits to be destroyed. But like other things, it wasn't that the ban and confiscation of rabbits wasn't especially enforced, but people kind of got the message and toned down these issues caused by the rabbit industry. Alright, and entering Minato City, leaving Chuo City behind. Buell motorcycle. Don't see a lot of those in Japan. And we're going to be coming up to Shimbashi, which at one time was the main train station in Tokyo before Tokyo Station was built. Yotsuya Tameike is ahead. We would pass Tameike sooner. That means Tame Pond. And Yotsuya would be beyond that, kind of on the outer limits of the old castle in the old days. It's also where our favorite restaurant of mine is. By going this way, we bypass the crowds in Ginza, which are almost as bad as the ones in Tsukiji. And to my left is Shimbashi Station. To my right would be Yurakucho. Can I get across this light while it's still green? Yay! It's a little bit easier here. There's more of a delay in the lights because of all the pedestrians. I have to have enough time for cars to turn, otherwise it's a mess. All right. Family Mart, sake, tobacco. Sake is the general word for any kind of alcohol in Japan. I guess you would say liquor. Beer, wine, whiskey, sake. They're all sake. Or all sake. To be polite, you have to put the O in front. O shoyu, O sake, O hashi. Must be something going on at the American Embassy. Someone is visiting or something. Quiet way around through Toranoman. We passed a lot of mons today. Volteman, Sakuraraman, and Toranoman, which means Tiger Gate. Yikes, that place that's falling down. So these places look pretty awful on the outside, but on the inside they're actually quite nice. All right. And since I'm going this way, I'm gonna have to climb up a hill to get home. Let's go this way. Nice neighborhood. Toranoman Hills. There's traffic. It's nice. It's to be out on a Sunday. I don't want to go that way. Normally you can kind of get through, but more road work. Okay. Wow, very bumpy. Usually they do a smoother job on the roads here. I've even come down here to the Minato City tax office to ask questions about filing my residential tax return. And this was during the pandemic when pretty much everything in America and Europe was closed and people couldn't go outside. Here in Japan, everything was open and you could go outside. So I had to come to the tax office and it was open. Government workers weren't allowed to be gone during a national emergency because they're considered essential. And I came here and it was very nice and showed my paperwork and they were nice enough to do everything for me. Saved me a lot of trouble. My Japanese in those days was a little worse than it is today. But they got everything squared away for me. Now if I go to an accountant, they charge a lot of money to do this kind of stuff. It was nice that I go to the tax office and they offer to do it for free. Now there's what people call the only in Japan moments, and my list of only in Japan moments, that has to be somewhere near the top. Like only in Japan can you go to the tax office and they offer to do your taxes for you for free. Okay. All right, up ahead would be the Russian embassy, and beyond that, not so far. I'm gonna go through here. The new Azabudai Hills. I like this area, even though the hill here isn't as severe as if I go down to the Noah building and try to go up. Peace. St. Louis. Bottega Veneta. I was up here in the summer for a movie night on the lawn, and at night frogs started to come out, big ones. Japan has frogs, and there's water around here, and a lot of people were startled to see big frogs jumping around while they were trying to enjoy the movie. My wife and daughter were pretty alarmed. But where I grew up, frogs were pretty common. And I can't count how many I caught when I was a kid. Not all of them came to good ends. All right. So this area is blocked off toward the Russian embassy. Okay. Excuse me. Museum, gallery, market, and shop. The grocery store, the market here is really, really good. They have lots of good stuff. And over there's the gas station where I get gas and I get my car washed. Ineos. I go to Ineos because they take a Rakuten point card, so I get a slight discount, like 1%. The 1% adds up. Would add up more if I drove more often, but I don't drive very much. Filled up the car last week, and last time I filled it up was last August. It's been a while. Oh man. Yeah. This is to protect the Russian embassy. There must be some kind of big anti-Russian demonstration today. Take forever in a day, but I'm in no hurry. I've only been out for 2.5 hours. I would just go straight ahead down to Azabujuban, but then I have to go up yet another hill. Tokyo Tower. Okay. All right. Back in the home territory. It's the Appa Hotel there on the right. Roppongi Ekihigashi means east side of Roppongi Station. We have a nice lounge there as well. It used to be the Audi dealership. Alrighty. Usha, that's what Japanese people do whenever they say when they're going to exert themselves. Aston Martin. A friend of mine has one of those, and it's cursed. The window stopped working on it, and they charged him Gojuman yen to fix the window. Gojuman yen is about $3,000. You can afford it. There was a time when I would love to have a car like that. But a car is a car. And there are better things to do with your money than spend it on a car. There was a time when I would have said something like that was a sacrilege. Say, you're not going to spend money on a car, what are you going to spend it on? Kyaku Group. Back to beautiful Roppongi. Like everywhere else, it has its more beautiful parts and less beautiful parts. Building, they haven't knocked it down yet. One of these days. It's been knocking itself down for the last 15 years. Eventually it'll finish the job. Keep thinking one of these days someone will throw a lit cigarette over the wall and put it out of its misery. Blue bottle. I don't drink coffee, so it's not necessarily convenient to have Blue Bottle nearby. Anyway, that's it. That's my ride for today. So, 2.5 hours from Roppongi to lots of places and back. So hope you enjoyed the video. If there's anything else you'd like to see, any part of Tokyo you're curious about, please let me know in the comment section below. If you'd like to see more videos, please subscribe. Anyway, I'm gonna go take a shower and get something to eat, and I hope you come back and tune again soon.